Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday, 28th of April, 2021. Welcome to Hindsight episode 5, where we talk about what moved on the markets and what could have been done better. What we have here is Kogan. Really, this was my only trade for today. We're going to cover TEG, Fin, Zip, and ADO as well. Let's talk through Kogan first. It was a match short for the day. It didn't look that interesting, but there was a news announcement. If I bring it up, the ASX pulled out a query asking, where the fuck are your numbers and how is it possible that this company can report a financial situation without the actual dollar values, just percentages? As you recall yesterday when I was talking about Kogan's financials, minus 42% EBITDA sounds horrifying. But when we look at the actual numbers, and they uploaded the numbers, we have an adjusted EBITDA decline by more than 42%. And that's based on $4 million, right? From 9.6 to 5.5 is a reduction of 42%, which really isn't that much, right? The EBITDA of 42% in decline sounds massive. In reality, it turned out to be nothing. This could have saved a lot of hassle in the initial announcement 3-4 days ago when they released the document. It's just like an unnecessary sell-off. Revenues grew, profits grew, everything grew. So what we saw was this reaction here. And this is what I was talking about yesterday in yesterday's video in Hindsight. I told you exactly what happens if the $10 wall breaks. It's going to be on a news announcement, right? This wall, after 4 days of selling, isn't going to just go up and just go to the upside. No. There needs to be an announcement to crack the $10 wall. And what did I say? $9.94 and $9.95 was the bounce target. Fucking beautiful. Perfect. Today, to the cent, it breaks. It has high volumes. You see the volume bar here. That is 176,000 shares being sold into $9.99 to $9.94 in just this 1 minute candle into, what did I say? A big fuck off rally. Now, even though that was the case, I still ended up playing it this way, shorting the match and waiting for it to come back over the $10 level. It's significant that this $10 level broke, and that would mean my short was no good. So closing out the short here at 10.04, 10.05, I scaled out. It wasn't a clean cut, but look, managed to get a few ticks out of it. So that's that trade. The yellow one is a sell, the white one is a buy. And then, of course, I tried to short here at the horizontal because I'm just a fucking idiot. I took a couple of ticks there, 3 ticks actually, and so got stopped out real quick. Kept it real tight there. And then what I had here was a change of mind, right? We saw a rally that really should have been a long position, breaking the opening horizontal, breaking the opening candle horizontal as well. So there's those 2 levels there. Break, retest, rally. Now, I was looking for some kind of high volume reversal. Didn't come, right? That's not a high volume reversal. It didn't top out. It's just a pullback. I was looking for this break here and this horizontal here. These 3 candles are acting like a little bit of a support level. I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll short here. I did end up shorting it at 10.25. Ended up pretty much losing a tick here and then converted it to a long position. 3 long positions and rode it to what I was looking for was 10.70. Didn't get to 10.70. I was like 10.64, 10.65. I gave it an opportunity to rally. I was looking for that 10.70. I was waiting for a bit of a pullback and then maybe a test of 70. That was my target. I'll show you guys on the daily chart why that is. But basically, it failed, and I ended up closing out at around 10.55, maybe a little bit 10.54 as well. I just hit out, and that's all she wrote. And look, even though 10.70 is the target, I'm not going to risk holding from here, hoping that, when it comes back, I don't know when the pullback is. I'm expecting it to be higher than this level here. That's pretty much all I expect. But I'm not going to hold it in anticipation that it eventually gets to 10.70. You can see the grind here. This is a quick 10-minute move, and that ends up being a retracement of like 2 hours before it, comes back to that level that I was targeting. So, I don't want to hold through this move. Even though my 1070 target ended up being right, I just didn't want to hold out through that move. It was a slow grind to the upside compared to the opening price action if you zoom out here. And some of you might be wondering, well, is Kogan bullish? Well, yeah, it turns out it is. It's making up its losses from that shitty announcement that it had a few days ago. If we zoom out, we can really see just how sharp of a turnaround that is. And if I bring up the daily chart, it'd probably be a little bit more evident. Now, I don't think in the the short, mid-term, long-term, anything that this is a good stock by any measure. This just happens to be a nice little bounce. The financials still aren't that crash hot in my opinion. So, you can see that's a bullish engulfing if I've ever seen one. Okay volumes. And it engulfs these two candles, which is quite nice. And this is pretty much the level that I was talking about. This sort of the 1070, I think was the opening price a couple of days ago. So that was my target there on the swing back up, especially after it broke, 1037 as well. So that was Kogan in a nutshell. There was opportunity, I guess, to take a bigger move, especially crossing this level here, the high of the day. It kind of, failed. I don't know how I would have play this one, especially when it hit 1070 like this and come back down and broke this level as well. I don't know how I really would have paid attention to that. I think I turned my screens off for this particular chart after I sold out. I just wasn't interested anymore. That's maximum returns that I could possibly get in a short amount of time. So it drew my attention elsewhere. But in hindsight, which is the idea of this channel, of this series, is what could have been done better, I guess. And that really was just paying more attention to the chart. This was the bullish uptrend, I just didn't have the patience to really look at this. I was watching other stuff as well. So in hindsight, keeping an eye on this one, what would make sense is breaking this level, and coming back for the retest to go long. Now there's maybe, 10, 15 ticks left in it, possibly. It's hard to see a move beyond this retest and this retest into anything beyond this red candle here. Like, what is that? Yeah, 10, 15 ticks maybe. It's not crash hot. That's like the obvious trade that I can spot on Kogan. I certainly would never have picked anything near the top like $11. Maybe 11's a bit of a magnet because it's a round number possibly, but when you see it rally, and then this is just chop, right? And then it heads right back down to towards this support level for the third time. It's like, how often do you see something come back to a support level after a rally for a third time and then hold it? It's very unusual. So in hindsight, that was the extra trade there. And I guess breaking through and rallying, maybe there was a small buy entry there as well. But that's really all I can see in hindsight, from a realistic perspective of what I could possibly accomplish and see in the charts in hindsight. It's all well and good to see something like this. Oh, it's a bullish rally. Oh, it's come back. It's a bit of a retrace. Oh, why not target $11 here when it's $10.30, right? That doesn't really work like that. Now we also have TEG. TEG was fascinating today in that not much happened until I guess just after lunchtime. So these are the 5-minute charts here, and this is the opening action. It kind of just ticks away, and then eventually it has a high volume pump. Now the interesting thing about TEG was there's all this action leading up to the top. All these volumes just pumping. But if you looked at the order book, there was nothing there. There was maybe 100,000 shares on the bid here, 150,000 there, and nothing there. So it just kept ticking down on significantly lower volumes. It's probably more obvious on the 3-minute chart. So it was kind of interesting to watch. The play here, I was looking for 3.3, which was VWAP, which probably would have been a little bit too far away, but it looked like it was possible. I was expecting a bit of a FOMO selling, especially from these big boy orders. There was 500,000 that bought into 4 cents like an idiot. And there was the opportunity to possibly get filled. 3.3 felt a little bit far away from 4 cents to 3.3 in such a short amount of time, but my order was there waiting, didn't get filled, and it ended up bouncing off some random level at 3.5. Don't know what really happened there. We also have Fin today. Now, I am not a fan, and you'll never ever see me really getting into these kinds of stocks where the opening price action is choppy. Makes a new high a little bit. I was watching it around this level, came back down to below the open price, right? The open price here is 3.5, ended up going to 3.4, and then seeing a stock that does this and then rally. I just never get into it, right? I never see it coming. It's not on any particularly interesting volumes either at this level, so there's nothing really to see there. It's, I consider it a bizarre decision if anyone really piled in at 3.4 and 3.5 on the way down. Doesn't doesn't really make sense. You know, when something maybe rallies, does a pullback to maybe 3.6 or something, that makes more sense, where a level holds. But you know, this is a really odd one, but it did end up making a nice rally. I saw a couple of guys in public Discord make some coin on this one, so congrats to them, because there was quite a few ticks in this one, and every tick matters when you're trading in the low cents range. We also have Zip today. Zip was a funny one. We had a pretty strong volume sell-off. That was fun to watch. Didn't catch the ride and momentum because the opening volumes weren't that interesting. If I bring up the 1 minute chart, we can see that there was a opening move until about maybe 7 minutes of just grind, 3 minutes of heavy dumping on high volumes. And really the play that I was looking for, I was looking at 8. I was looking at a nice round number of 8. Didn't get there. I was a tick away, and then of course I would have had to have gotten filled as well at 8 cents. The idea here, I know it crosses VWAP. Zip is one of those stocks that I don't like it. I just don't like it. It doesn't really respect technicals as much as other larger cap stocks, in the 1 billion plus range. It tends to wick about and fake out a little bit. So what we have is, this thing doesn't bounce off. I think it was 796, maybe 795, the VWAP. It usually just shoots up above it, triggers some stops, and then it just comes back down. In hindsight, I guess it didn't ultimately matter that I didn't get filled. We have, what was that? Realistically, even if I got filled at 8, dropped down to 788, the absolute maximum is 12 ticks. I definitely would not have gotten 12 ticks. I would have held that short. Probably a retest or close to VWAP. So yeah, look, probably could have got 5 ticks maximums, I think, in hindsight. We've got an $8 retest as well. And look, I also kind of stopped watching Zip. I was kind of all over the place today with my watch list. And really, the trade here was the high volume break of VWAP, which I didn't spot. I kind of stopped watching it maybe around somewhere in this level here, around 11 o'clock. It just didn't look too interesting. Nothing was really happening. Missed this high volume breakthrough VWAP. And the play here is always the retest of VWAP. I don't like buying the breakout here. I don't like buying it here. I like buying it at the retest. You'll always hear me talking about retest of levels. For example, $8 is a key level. You've got a break, retest. There's the opportunity to add on to the long and then ride the momentum. And of course, you've got key levels here, such as a high of day. Could be a good target. I'm not sure what the cause of the rally to 825 was. That seems a bit of an overshoot, especially we've got some levels from yesterday, which pretty much line up with $8.12. So that probably was the trade opportunity. This overshoot here, can't quite explain it. Never would have taken profits into this kind of level. Realistically, the opportunity was $7.96, $8, and selling at maybe $8.11. So there's a good 15 ticks roughly. The alternative solution here is selling half, because that is quite a nice upwards momentum on good volumes. Sell half, hold half, see what happens. But again, I don't think that would have really got too much out of that trade. And last but not least, we have ADO, and this is another example of just an unusual kind of stonk. I'm not a fan of this particular chart pattern. Like I mentioned before, in Fin, where it comes up and back down. This one, dip, rally. There was only, a $12 million raise, and it was something like 45 million shares out of 1.8 billion shares on issue. So I thought the selling was a little over the top. But, I know there's a cap raise, but there's no dilution there. Like, there's very, very little dilution. And when that happens, it doesn't matter what the cap raise price was, whether it's 50 cents, 30 cents, 20 cents. I don't even remember what it was, but 12 million dilutions, like whatever. It's not that big a deal. 45 million shares into 1.8 million is a drop in the ocean. Bit of overreaction and selling there. The trade really is about the break on high volume from the horizontal. I mean, if you can catch the momentum to the upside, that'd be fantastic. But I did end up only just watching the sell-off. Again, I guess there was so many stock tickers I had open today. I think about maybe 20, and I couldn't nail down which ones were the ones to watch. I had ADO as my top priority, and then I sort of watched it just dump. So it was just like, okay, well, no time to watch ADO. I'll just start watching Kogan and just focusing my attention elsewhere. So in hindsight, that was the entry, and that is the break of highs on high volume as well. So really, so break of here to maybe 43, so possibly 44 cents. And the target, I haven't actually had a chance to look at the potential target here. Let's just have a quick browse, see if we can see anything on the daily. Any sort of fib levels, nothing. It's just, it's blue skies from here. There's really only one thing I can see, and that, yeah, that's probably the break of 40. Yeah, 44. That's, I'll bring up the 1 minute chart. Yep, that's pretty much breaking the high of the day. So I guess I kind of see why it got rejected initially on the opening drive. Straight down, retest, break. That's a beautiful break. Now, picking targets, and this one's a bit funny. So when you got all-time highs like this, it's hard to say, you know, where the top is. It's really about reading the book, paying attention to whether the offer's being lifted, whether the bid's being hit, whether, you know, where the shares are being stacked. So it's all about really tape reading once you reach this kind of blue sky territory. And that's really what we're seeing here, is we're seeing, you know, new highs. There's no historical data. You can't see horizontal levels here. Nothing. There's no fib levels to really work with. Maybe the inverse fib levels, but I don't really use those. So that's pretty much it for the day, guys. If you found anything even remotely interesting, please do consider hitting that sub button. More importantly, hit the like button. Fuck the sub button. You guys are already subbed. Hit that like. Hit it for me. Thanks, guys.